Hello and welcome to this demo of WaterWise Control and Monitoring, my smart irrigation system. You can see we have a pump serving 5 zones with water, and each of those zones somewhere in this piping structure will have valves controlling the amount of water that can get to the specific zone. And maybe if one zone is really dry, like this one looks, and it really needs water, but the others are wet enough, they could all have their valves closed and just let the pump water this zone as needed. So let's turn it on and just see what happens. And you can see at first the pump output is at 0%. That's an analog control out of 100, and it'll change over time. Over here you can see it says zone needs water, so it's opening the valve. And the target flow rate in this zone is 8750. And those can be adjusted by the operator as needed. This one's 9,000, and they're both going to be opening because they're not high enough yet. But they'll all be different, just the way I set them. And this one's actually got too much flow right now. And you can see the pump output's still going to increase because some zones need more flow still. This one's not at 9,000 yet, zone 2, and the valve is all the way open. So the pump output's still increasing, but zone 3 has to reduce its flow. So what's happening is the valve is closing to allow less through. And there's a feedback loop where it's just always checking the flow it has and comparing it with the target flow rate of 5,000 in this case, and just seeing how it's doing. So we can adjust the flow rates in the flow rate manager and just set those to what we like. And then there's also the soil saturation manager, where you can see we get to choose the target soil moistures. And you can see when we reach that soil saturation, it's going to close the valve and stop watering until it falls below that soil saturation set point minus the margin. So in this case, once we hit 70.9, it's going to turn off. It's going to stop turning that mechanical arm, and there it is. It just reached the set point. You could see set point reached, closing valve, and it takes a little bit of time to close the valve, but then it's going to stay off until it falls below 70.9 minus 7, so like 64-ish. And then the other thing with the soil saturation manager there is that these are general set points. You might have noticed this said 77, but over here the target is 70.9, and that's because this system also factors in weather data. And you can see just the way I have it set right now, it says there's 10 millimeters of rain in the forecast. So what it's saying, if you're expecting 10 millimeters of rain, you probably don't want to water all this ground up to your general set point, because it's going to get rained on and it might end up overwatered. So with 10 millimeters in the forecast, that's not a storm, but it's a decent amount of rain. It's only going to water areas that are really dry. So even though generally we want zone 1 to get 77%, it's only watering up to 70.9 because 10 millimeters of rain will take care of the rest. If you go to Simulate System Input and choose Manual, you can actually just type in weather data. I've got it here on the side. And you can say, let's say 0 rainfall expected, and just set that. Might take a couple of seconds, but really not long. There it is, 0. And now just like the general set point, the final moisture set point is also 77. And you can see this one dried out a fair bit, and it's back to saying zone needs water, and the valve opened, and it's trying to hit that target flow rate. So I hope you found this interesting, and you can play around with it yourself to try some other features like the water usage control and manual control, viewing history. There's a lot of fun stuff to see here. Bye.